What if modern F1 cars weighed the same as V8 F1 cars? So this is a topic then that often gets raised amongst F1 drivers every time a rule change gets talked about. They all say that these current modern F1 cars are too heavy. The 2020 cars are too heavy. So let's strip the weight off them and let's make them weigh the same as the V8 F1 cars. So essentially the modern cars are 740 kilos, including the driver. And I've made the V8 cars 640 kilos, including the driver, which is the minimum weight, but just before we went to the hybrid engines. So they're also about 100 kilos, which is quite significant actually. When you consider they only started at 740 kilos, that's probably, off the top of my head, I don't know, 14%, something like that. So it's a fairly significant chunk of their weight that they've lost. And you can see here on the left-hand side, we have got the 2020 cars, totally normal in the F1 2020 game. And on the right, quite a simple mod, we've just taken 100 kilos off, as I just mentioned. And I've only applied it to the Ferrari cars, that's so we can see a good comparison to the modern cars once we get to the race. And as you see here, on the right-hand side, we're quite significantly ahead. Unsurprisingly, taking 100 kilos off a car is basically quite a bit faster when a car already only weighs 740 kilos. So obviously it's a lot quicker, but actually it feels so much nicer as well. It really makes the car come alive. It doesn't make it hard to drive or make the braking zones insanely short, or it doesn't change anything too drastically. But it just makes it better to drive. I mean, you see there about 2 kilometers an hour as well difference in the straight. So it also makes it a little bit quicker in the straight because there's less mass to accelerate up to the VMAX. The VMAX would still be the same because the drag is the reason that an F1 car cannot go any faster, not necessarily because of the weight. But the acceleration up to that point would be quicker. Now, here we go. This is the qualifying then from the right-hand screen that we saw just then. And you see we're about 2.3 seconds up on Lewis Hamilton. So I would estimate that the Ferraris lost something like 2.6 seconds or so by losing 100 kilos to a significant amount of time. Jumping onto the start then straight away, having a nice clean start, getting a good jump, but George Russell there squeezes us up against the wall. And I think we'd have got past quite a few cars there if we were able. But actually, we are going to back out of this because realistically, we are 2.5 seconds or so quicker than the fastest car in this grid. So if we start charging through the pack straight away, this race is going to be over by lap 1. So we're going to take our time a little bit. You can see once again here we are going to back out of it just because we want to have some good moves here. We really want to showcase how much quicker we are with 100 kilos less. Do you remember mid-race ads? Do you remember how annoying they were? Well, I'm just going to very quickly pause the video there to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It does really help a channel of my size. We're trying to keep the momentum. 2 videos a week, 2 streams a week. A subscription really does help. So if you do enjoy the video, please do subscribe. Let's get back to it. Back to the V8 era. Of course, this is, I should say, this is impossible in real life. Let's go around the outside there. Don't know what that corner's called, unfortunately, but flying on the outside, that is not a move that is ever on unless it's crazy conditions or someone's got a puncture or something weird. But we managed to go on the outside and once again there, getting up the inside of the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. And again, another move that very, very rarely happens there, particularly on the acceleration zone. And that shows you the huge difference we've got. Again, around the outside of Lance Stroll here. So making overtakes everywhere that you don't normally make them around Brazil. And yeah, as I mentioned, so this mod is actually, impossible in real life. You can't have a modern F1 car be that light. I'm sure they could make them a little bit lighter if the rules allowed it, but not excessively lighter. There's a reason that the FIA keep budging up the minimum weight because they know that that's a sort of a limit. And actually, in this game, interestingly, not all the cars are at the minimum weight. Of course, I don't know how realistic that is. Probably Codemasters themselves don't know how realistic that is. But it's only really the Mercedes, the Ferrari, and the Red Bull, I believe, that are right on the minimum weight of 740 kilos. A few of the other cars, the McLaren ahead of us, I believe that's on something like 748, so that's about 8 kilos overweight. The Renault ahead, I think, is on similar. Interesting, the Racing Point. This is all pre-performance patch, by the way, which is coming out in just a few days as I'm recording this video. But yes, and interesting, the Racing Point is actually about 15 kilos overweight. So again, don't know how realistic that is, but that just gives you an idea of what's going on under the skin of this game. And yeah, as I said, this is pre-performance patch, which is why we've chosen the Ferrari, because this will be the last time that this Ferrari will be this competitive in this game, because they are going to get a big old nerf in the performance update patch. But anyway, then coming through the last turn, braking quite late, and I will say one of the bigger differences is you can brake significantly later. Obviously, brakes are a bit of a no-brainer in terms of how much of a difference they make. There's less mass to slow down. The drag is exactly the same, but there's just less of the car. There's less weight to slow down. So, of course, it's easy to dive. And there we go. We're diving up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. Bit of contact there, but he did turn in on us. But actually, we made our apex. Like that was a reasonable braking zone. That's just how much quicker we are with 100 kilos less mass on the car. And of course, I mentioned the acceleration also is quicker. You know, there's less weight to accelerate up to top speed. I don't 100% know. I've not done a complete test, but I'm pretty sure that the VMAX, the top speed, would be exactly the same because that's determined by drag, not really by weight. We're backing off there. Didn't want to go up the inside of Alex Albon. See if we can go on the outside of him, but no, we're up against cars now that have got quite a significant amount of downforce. But look how much later we brake than Alex Albon. Okay, we've gone deep, but actually we braked probably like 10-20 meters later than him there, and that is not a long braking zone. So that's a significant amount of time that we've just gained there just on the brakes alone. And of course, having less weight obviously makes you quicker through the corners. I would say, using logic, using, you know, my basic knowledge of physics, that it would be the slower speed corners you notice a bit bigger difference, because that is the corners where you really feel it. Higher speed corners, you've got a whole load of downforce really pressing you down into the track anyway. So actually it won't make a ridiculous amount of difference in the higher speed corners. And here we go then, coming up to Valtteri Bottas now. DRS is wide open. We decide against lunging up inside. No, we decide last minute. No, we do actually want that position because we need to get after Lewis Hamilton. We're already onto the penultimate lap of this race, but we are only a second back. So let's see how much we gain then. So look, down the straight, look, we've not even got DRS. We are using rich fuel. We're not using overtake ERS, and we just gained 2/10 just down the straight alone. Most of that was in the start of the straight. As I mentioned, you get quicker acceleration. But yes, as I said, for me, this feels incredible. I do think F1 needs to pursue lighter cars. I think, you know, they are already very light. You know, 740 kilos, including a driver, is very, very light. You know, so that would make them, what, 680 kilos or so? Most F1 drivers are around 60 kilos, so about 680 kilos. It is a very, very light car already, you know, despite the fact they've got quite a big battery in them. And they've got, you know, electric motors and the turbo and, you know, obviously the actual combustion block itself. You know, there's a lot going on there. And, you know, a lot of hydraulics as well for the power steering, and there's all sorts going on. It is light for what it is, but, you know, we used to have 100 kilos lighter. I don't think we should go back to V8 engines. I do think this sort of era is the right way, although I don't think full electrification is F1's future. I think F1 will remain combustion engine. Anyway, we get a bit more into the kind of, I guess, politics of F1 and the future of F1. But I do think F1 though does need to pursue a lighter car. I don't know how that can be achieved, but I do think it's pretty important. So we are now doing a little test on Lewis Hamilton. So you can see we're actually in lean fuel. We're not going to use any overtake ERS at all either. So we're just going to show, even in lean fuel, without using any overtake, without using any trickery, how much quicker we can be than this Mercedes. We're going to try and overtake him somewhere without, you know, using any kind of power advantage, I guess, in the straight. And yeah, so like I said, I do believe F1 needs to pursue it. This car feels so much better. The race, it just comes alive. It's the weight an F1 car should be. 640 kilos, including the driver. Okay, you know, you can do a bit more. You know, probably 650, 660, maybe even 680 would probably be quite significantly better than they are now. You know, I've shown 2.5 seconds quicker. So imagine if you came down to 680. Bit of a guess, you'd probably be, what, 2 seconds quicker? As we use a flashback here because actually Lewis Hamilton ended up hitting our side there. We actually wanted to have a drag race to the start-finish line just to show this acceleration difference. So again, lean fuel, no overtake ERS whatsoever, no DRS of course as well. Hamilton cannot be on less power modes in this, he can only be on high in this. And look, he's just not able to make any inroads into us. Now he's got DRS, now he's finally started to make some inroads and still doesn't manage to get us, despite the fact we were using the lowest power modes possible. And we come across the line to take a P2. Of course, Sebastian Vettel also had the same mods, which is why he's managed to dominate. And will we ever see Sebastian Vettel on the top step of the podium ever again? Probably not this season. Will he be able to do it at Race to Point? Will we ever see a Ferrari 1-2 again? You'd assume we will see it at some point. How long will that be? Who knows? But anyway, there we go. P2, confirmation. I think I've already summed up, to be honest, this mod. I think F1 needs to pursue lighter weight. It felt incredible. It doesn't change it night and day. That's the thing. It's not a totally different car to drive. It's not, you know, suddenly horrifically oversteery or horrifically, you know, too powerful or whatever, or the tyres are too grippy or the downforce is too much. It doesn't change any of that. The whole car just comes alive. It just feels better to drive. It goes down the corners quicker. You can brake later. You can accelerate harder. It's got more traction. It's got more grip everywhere. It just feels amazing. So if this is possible, we know that this particular mod is impossible, but I think if it's possible in the future, F1 should definitely pursue lighter cars. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I thank you for watching. Bye-bye.